The podcast is produced by the Fireside Chatcraft of Canada.
Hello, and welcome to Canada as I See It. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. Thank you, Sanka, for introducing the show this week. Today, it's all about families. Last week, I got to see my cousin Vic and his wife Dawn. They live out on the West Coast, and whenever we can, we connect. A few years ago, Caroline and I traveled out to see my daughter in Washington, and then dropped by their place. This time, they traveled east. Unfortunately, Vic was in town for the funeral of his older sister, Sylvia. He also brought out the family Bible to pass along to me. I believe Vic to be the most senior of the Whorpole clan, and I was very flattered to be chosen to be the keeper of the family tome. All families have multiple branches, and this Bible comes from my grandmother's side, the Tomlinsons. That branch can be traced back several generations before her. My dad's side, not so far. My grandmother was born in Bulwell, Nottingham, in the United Kingdom. The one significant thing about this is Bulwell's proximity to the ancient royal location of Sherwood Forest. Yes, Robin Hood's hangout. The really neat thing is that I've been able to find the house that she was born in online. It's still standing. Now, my grandfather, Dad's dad, and his brother were wards of Barnardo homes in London. They'd been given up by their mother in the hopes of having a better life in Canada. I have very little information about them prior to arriving in Canada, a few photos, but I do have one with their ID numbers from their travel to the New World in the early 1900s. But again, unfortunately, little else. Dad was born in Toronto, as was I, so looking at that branch, I'm second-generation Canadian. Dad had two brothers, Norm and Doug. Norm is Vic's dad, and Doug is my cousin Fred's dad. And Fred lives, well, relatively close. Relatively. See? Get it? Get it? Just southwest of Toronto. There are a few Whorpoles scattered across the country, but it is a unique enough name that whoever has it is, in fact, directly related to me. For good or for bad, I suppose. If you're listening to this and we've never connected, please drop me a line at james@whorpole.ca. WHORPOLE. But of course, if you're a Whorpole, then you already knew that, right? My grandfather's name was Ernest, and his brother's name was Frederick. Ernest settled in Toronto, and subsequently, the rest of us more or less stayed in the area. And Frederick's family is mostly just north of where I live, Sault Ste. Marie and up there, well, from my perspective. As you can tell, based on my email address, I purchased the internet domain for whorpole.ca. I shifted where I'd had it hosted last year, so, as is always my excuse, it's a work in progress. You can have a look. In fact, this is where you can find more recent episodes of Canada as I See It. And, well, all I ask is Okay, be kind. Let me know, though, if you have any ideas as to what I might be able to add to it. Speaking of internet domains, this brings me to my maternal branch of my family tree. My mother was a Mifflin. Yes, Mifflin, as in Houghton Mifflin Publishing Company, a real company, and Dunder Mifflin Paper Company, a not real company. I also have the domain for that name, mifflin.ca. And right now, there's a static screen with a couple of pages holding the place at the moment. It was a little more robust than it appears now, but unfortunately, it was damaged in a smelting accident. Yeah, sorry, movie quote there. You figure it out. Seriously, though, it never really recovered from the hosting shift from last year, and so I'm rebuilding it. Do check it out. There's some basic family history there, and a couple of photos, and, a link to contact me. So, as you've realized, I'm talking about families this week, and this weekend was always the big one for the Mifflins. Tomorrow is Victoria Day in Canada, and it was named for Queen Victoria, who was Queen Elizabeth II's great-great-grandmother. And the day, the last Monday in May before the 25th, marks her birthday. The Victoria Day weekend was selected by the Mifflin family, actually, it used to be a multi-day event, as a time for the family to get together. We always referred to it as the reunion. And it took place in Kent County in southwestern Ontario, more or less where Merlin exists today. And it was a time where, we packed up our red 1965 Plymouth Valiant station wagon and made our way down to, re-meet the cousins. They always seemed to be strangers to us kids back then. And we would always stay at the local Holiday Inn, just like the commercials. It was great. The event, as I remember it, always took place on the Sunday, and it involved games for the kids, entertainment for all, and a potluck buffet that was the king of all spreads. There were homemade salads, desserts, and, more main dishes than you could count. As with many events from, 2020 to 22, ours was canceled, and it had been going on for, estimates to exactly how long are varied, but I'm guessing 80 years, maybe. That might be a number. And, we've tried to keep in contact, and for the most part do through Facebook. But due to the interruption and the passing of several of the more senior members of the family, I fear that the days of getting the group together again, as I remember it, are gone. And a lot of it has to do with timetables, too. People's lives are just so tightly packed now. It's just more difficult to synchronize everything once that pattern was broken. But that doesn't mean that the family is gone. Things change. I get that. And we just have to adapt. The main thing is, we're still sharing memories, birthdays, and photos, and it's just done virtually now. But it's the contact that's important. Write that email, send a thinking of you card, FaceTime just because. We may not be face-to-face today, but we are still family, and nothing can take that from us. Now, I spoke about that I was second-generation Canadian on the Whorpole side, but fortunately, thanks to the efforts of many wonderful family members, we have a very thorough compilation of our family history. And looking at that, I am, on the Mifflin side, 7th generation Canadian. And just doing the math, we're probably into the 11th or perhaps even 12th generation that has been born in Canada. Wow. I am rebuilding the site, and I'm encouraging everyone who is a part of the Mifflin and Whorpole family, if you are all listening, to please send me photographs, videos, stories, anything that you would like to share. It's something that hopefully we can all share and reminisce with. Someone suggested even local families get together. I mean, we may not see everyone all at once, but perhaps, groups can share their stories together and hopefully try and do that through the website. If you do have any comments about today's or, any episodes of Canada As I See It, I encourage you to write me at asISeeIt@whorpole.ca. And again, Whorpole's always spelled the same way. Well, at least for me anyhow. WHORPOLE. If you'd like to contribute by introducing the show, you can record yourself saying, "This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada," and send it to me at that same email address or by Facebook Messenger to me, James Whorpole. Thank you so much for listening today. Your assignment? Contact someone in your family. Someone you haven't heard from in a while, perhaps. Bring a smile to someone's face. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you again next week. And that's a part of Canada As I See It. It is written and produced by me, James Whorpole, and brought to life by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada. Our theme song is Night Owls by Braden Deal. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at asISeeIt@whorpole.ca. Join us every Sunday for another episode of Canada As I See It.